What's up everyone? Pogo Sean GG here and welcome back to my channel. First and foremost, thank you Taylor, FP Sticks, for giving my team a shout out, and I really appreciate you featuring me in the video. Today I want to be going over the strategy of that team, and I'm going to be sharing a couple sets. So I did make it to 2665, so I'm going to be up on the leaderboards tomorrow. This is going to be the first time, so I'm really proud and really happy about that. And today I'm going to be going over the strategy. It's going to be two parts. It's going to be the strategy of the team, and it's going to be two sets with the team. And these battles are going to be in the 2600 range. So it's going to be top battlers, and let's jump right into the video. So the strategy of this team is to lead with Shadow Swampert, and if I don't catch a steel type, I like to automatically switch into Cresselia. So what Cresselia will do is bring out the Melmetal, the Registeel, Escavalier, or Empoleon, or even sometimes a Berserker. And my goal with that matchup is to get the steel type knocked out, which it can with Melmetal and Escavalier if played correctly, and then have the Cresselia go down and get my Shadow Swampert onto the steel type. And once it's on the steel type and the steel type is knocked out, pretty much Articuno could come in and sweep whatever's in the back line. And switching in between Shadow Swampert and Articuno, depending on how the matchup goes. And yeah, that's about it. It's very same idea with the Caleb Ping team, with baiting out a flyer with a shift tree, and this is pretty much the same concept. And for so far, it's been working really well for me, and I'm happy to share these videos with you. So let's get right into the battles. And don't forget to hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and if you hit that like button, the GBL algorithm will help you. Alright, jumping into the first set, I've run into an Obstagoon. So for this matchup, Obstagoon has a decent matchup against Cresselia, so I'm going to go ahead and soften it up with a Hydro Cannon here, and then switch into Cresselia. However, we get to the charge move at the same time, but since I have higher attack, he goes first, or I go first, sorry about that. And so when I switch out to Cresselia, the Registeel comes out. So the whole point of this, the goal of this match is to get Registeel within Hydro Cannon range. I'm not going to go for the Moonblast, I don't care about the debuff. The goal is just to get it into Hydro Cannon range, so when Swampert comes out, it can take it out with the Hydro Cannon. And once that happens, Articuno is free to roam, essentially. So this matchup plays out the same way. I think there's a better way to play this matchup on the Registeel side. So if I were the Registeel here, I wouldn't charge fully charged up. I would probably throw it at a Great and then farm down. I've seen it before, but it's never happened in this situation, like any of these matches I've been playing. So if you're the Registeel on this end, go for like a Great and then farm down so you have more energy. Okay, I make a mistake here. I should have thrown the Hydro Cannon a lot sooner, and now I'm forced to use a shield. So because I use a shield, I'm going to go ahead and charge up extra energy and throw the Hydro Cannon. And this will be taking out the Registeel, and then I'm going to be switching in to Articuno. Now Articuno is essentially free to roam. I'm going to go ahead and shield up this Night Slash because I know this is going to be the hardest hitting move compared to Giratina's Dragon Claws and stuff. So we get a shield there, which is great, and I'm inclined to farm this thing down and get enough energy for 2 Icy Winds. In this way, it will be putting a lot of pressure on that Giratina. So we're almost at 2 Icy Winds. I'm going to go ahead and throw the first one off. Articuno has higher attack, so I'm going to be going first. And he's going to get off a Dragon Claw. So he didn't have it, saved that. Which is totally cool. We get off the second Icy Wind here, and then we're going to make a quick swap into Swampert. So this is where Swampert's great too. We have enough energy and enough damage output to one-shot this Giratina. And if this were a regular Swampert, that wouldn't KO, and this matchup would pretty much be a GG. Maybe? No, probably not. So let's run the same thing over again. I'm gonna go for one mud shot, and I'm gonna be switching in to Cresselia. So opponent stays in, and we get off a Moon Blast here. A Moon Blast to Giratina should be taking half health, about 50%. And they're starting to stay in here, so that's a tell for me that they're weak to Cresselia in the back, possibly a Togekiss Poliwrath. And in these matchups, I don't like to shield here unless I could win switch advantage if I shield. And if I do shield, either they go down or they take another shield off. So we're gonna let the Articuno in. I'm not gonna bring in Swampert just because it's gonna be taking a lot of damage from the Shadow Claws. And now I'm in a position where I could farm this down. I'm gonna get taken down to about 40% health, but Articuno is free to do whatever it wants. So it is a Charmer, it's a Grand Bull. I think my opponent shields here and swaps out. It's kind of a strange, no, yeah, he does shield, swaps out, and goes into Blastoise. So before I go into Swampert, I'm gonna lay an Icy One on this, so Swampert has a good matchup here. So I have two shields, and I'm gonna go ahead and save this Articuno, get one Icy Wind ready for the back, and I know my opponent is invested in their Grand Bull, so I know he's not gonna be shielding this Earthquake, and this is gonna go ahead and one shot. And now my opponent's in a difficult position. Does he want to shield up a Hydro Cannon? This will be knocking it out for sure. And they're going to have to throw their energy here. And they're not throwing, so that's going to be a GG. Good game. So now we're up against Tofu Smurf. Let's see what he leads. So Togekiss. This is a decent matchup, but I don't want to take any damage. So, okay, again, we bait out the Registeel. We bring out Cresselia, it baits out the Registeel. And remember, the goal of this is to get Registeel in Hydro Cannon range. So Swampert can get off a Hydro Cannon. Just one Hydro Cannon, we don't have to commit any shields. In the last match, I did make a mistake, but it's totally cool. We ended up winning that match. So straight Future Sight, there's no reason to go to the Moonblast unless I need to get the debuff, but the 10% chance is not worth the outcome of guaranteed damage. So after this Future Sight, it's going to be in Hydro Cannon range. Perfect, that's all we needed Cresselia for. And now it's going to be taken down. And Swampert lagged a little bit. I don't know if that made any difference, but I think the goal here when I bring out the Swampert against a Registeel is to gain one Mud Shot after a fully charged Hydro Cannon instead of two like I did last time. So I want to grab a shield here before I bring in Articuno, and it took the shield, so outstanding. I don't know what I'm doing here. I should definitely get out. So what this is telling me is that they're very weak in the back. Was it Giratina in the back? So it is, no, okay. This is the Poliwrath. Though this match still isn't over, I'm still scared of the Togekiss having an Ancient Power, which would almost take me out. So I go for the Hurricane, and he shields. It's a great shield. And it's a difficult spot for me to bait a Icy Wind here because the dynamic punches add up and they could take me out easily. So I decided to bring out Swampert here to finish this up. Swampert's Hydro Cannon does about 60% damage to Togekiss. And GG's. So we're up against Pete Cooper, 835. And what do we get? So we get a Cresselia. So the thing is about this match is you have to get out because they can have Grass Knot. Okay, maybe I wanted to. So it takes 6 Cycle Cuts to get to Grass Knot. So it takes 5 to get to Hydro Cannon. I throw the Hydro Cannon and switch into Cresselia. So absorb whatever it has, and in this situation, I'm just going to be going for the harder hitting move of Future Sight. I barely use the Moonblast unless it's like the mirror. And as a common theme here, you're never going to see me shield up Cresselia unless it's a good situation for us, like where we could win switch advantage. And for this team, I think switch advantage isn't that important. It just really depends what they led with and what my Cresselia is going up against. So now we're kind of in a difficult spot. Do I want to shield my Swampert? I might have to double shield it. So no, I decide to bring in Articuno to build up some extra energy. And we farm it down. We're 1 way from an Icy Wind, and now opponent's in a tough spot. Not sure what he should bring in, and it's in a Scavalier. So I go for the bait here. That's a questionable play on my end. Okay, that's fine. So I go for the Hurricane. I should have went for the first time, and this should be enough to take it out. So GG's. And now we're in an outstanding spot. So I'm going to go ahead and just stay in this matchup so it forces my Articuno, or it forces the Cresselia to throw his energy. It's going to be debuffed significantly. So when they have Grass Knot, you'll see at the end, it's pretty cool. It won't take out my Swampert because they're just so debuffed. So now we're in a kind of difficult spot. Good thing I didn't switch there. They're going to have 2 Grass Knots stored up right here, and they were forced to throw. And because it's debuffed so much, it is not going to KO my Shadow Swampert, and we're going to go ahead and Mud Shot down. And that's GG. GG. And up against my next opponent, Togekiss again. So let's just farm up 1 Mud Shot and go straight into Cresselia. We draw out a Snorlax, which is pretty cool. Go for the Body Slam, and I'm going to be going straight to Future Sight. If it's neutral damage against a Pokemon, I'm going to be going for the harder hitting move. However, my opponent shields it up, and it looks like I'm going to go for the Moonblast this time. So yeah, Snorlax has a very neutral matchup against my whole team and pretty much everyone except for like a fighter. I'm okay with Cresselia going down here. I think I need to bring in my Hydro Cannon Swampert just because it has so much energy. It has so much health, and I need it to dwindle down. And I'm in a situation where I could farm this down, which is going to be really great. Shadow Swampert is really glassy, so I commit a shield here. And I'm going to go ahead and throw a Hydro Cannon on this Togekiss, and it does about 60 per 50%. And now we're in an outstanding spot. So, lesson learned, let's go straight for the Hurricane. So I need to run these Sims more because I've been shielding a lot of attacks from what's his face, this Scavalier, where I shouldn't be. What am I doing here? I should be going straight for the Hurricane. Maybe I was scared I was going to get hit by another Mega Horn and probably wouldn't KO me even though it's resisted. And since it's debuffed so much, we should be able to survive this cleanly. Ooh, rough. Okay, so I totally misplayed that. I should have went straight for the Hurricane. It's all good. We did get to 26-20 on that game. And for my second set, you already know the deal here. We're going to be doing one mud shot and switching into Cresselia. We're going to go straight for the Moonblast. My opponent makes a great swap into Melmetal. Since this was a Moonblast and not a Future Sight, this is in favor of, what's his face, Melmetal. So, Cresselia wins this, depending on IVs and energy advantage on Cresselia. Majority of the time I win this, but since I went for a Moonblast, it's not gonna be in my favor. So you should always go for Future Sight against Melmetal, and you should be able to win. And it is kind of IV dependent, but my Cresselia is pretty good with IVs, and it wins a lot of very close matchups with very little HP. So as you can see, if I went with a Future Sight, this matchup would have been in my favor. But it's okay because we can bring in Swampert. Ooh, that's even worse. So we're gonna go ahead and bring in Swampert to farm it down, and I'm gonna be trying to get a shield off. Maybe not. So yeah, this is really good on our end. Articuno has a very favorable matchup against Swampert and Giratina. So I'm going to shield this up even though it's resisted. I'm not resisted. I'm debuffed because Shadow Swampert's Hydro Cannons do so much damage. I think I'm going to double shield this so I avoid getting hit by very powerful Hydro Cannon. Now it's double debuffed and I'm comfortable taking hits with Articuno. So I think my opponent tried to switch out here. His Clock just hit, so he didn't survive. It looked like he switched out, but he didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and throw these Icy Winds off. My Articuno was very healthy, and I could either stay in here. Okay, so it looks like my opponent just leaves. Good game, and we're up against Sheldon 71. So this is kind of a tricky matchup. It one-shots with Earthquake, but my opponent makes a swap here, and I'm going to go ahead and get a Hydro Cannon off on this Snorlax. So we're gonna be in a good position to win a switch advantage here, just because Hydro Cannon does about 35-40% damage on the Snorlax. And we get the attack fall. So the reason why I didn't go for Future Sight is because it was going to need two charge moves anyways to take out the Snorlax, and it's cheaper and it does the job with Moonblast. So they bring out the Scavalier again. This is just a drill run, so I'm going to be able to get off a Future Sight here. Oh, that is so crazy. I could have got that Future Sight, but I lived it, and I thought I needed one more. So we do land the Moonblast. And I'm going to be able to bring out my Swampert, get a Hydro Cannon off. This should be taking out a Scavalier, but he shields, so that tells me the weak something in the back. Okay. So this is a very bad matchup for Articuno. A horrible matchup. And I don't know what I was thinking there. I should have shielded that. I go for the Hurricane. I already know they're not going to shield this. So this is one of the main weaknesses to this team is Lapras against Articuno. And he's going to be able to Ice Shard me down. And I'm in a kind of a tough spot here. So he's in Hydro Cannon range. And if not Hydro Cannon and 2 mud shots. So I shield that up. What does my opponent want to do here? So I build up to 2 Hydro Cannons. So he shields that up. Should we play? If he plays, questionable play. And we're gonna be able to take this game with one Hydro Cannon. The thing about Shadow Swampert is that the main difference is that Shadow Swampert could kill or take out a Pokemon with 2 Hydro Cannons instead of 3 from normal Swampert. So Cresselia again, I like to get a couple mud shots off and then switch in to my Cresselia. Or maybe I'm just going to soften it up with Hydro Cannon. So again, it takes 5 mud shots to get to Hydro Cannon, and it takes 6 to get the Grass Knot. So good for my opponent, he didn't throw. We get an Escavalier, which is awesome. I really don't mind it, because if they bait with Drill Run, we get put in a really good spot. So they baited with Drill Run, and we're going to be ahead in this match with committing no shields. And they take a shield, which is cool, totally cool. But they throw a Drill Run again. They're probably running Acid Spray, and we're going to be able to get to a Future Sight, and we take it, and they're down a shield as well. This is a really bad spot for my opponent. And in this matchup, you just want to go straight Moonblast. We get the Moonblast off, which is awesome. And at this point, I don't want them to farm me down, so I switch out into Articuno. However, they have a Melmetal, but this is totally cool. This is cool because they're switch locked, they're going to take me out, and they're going to be debuffed. So I have 2 shields. I don't care if they farm me down. The superpowers aren't going to do that much. The thing I'm worried about is the Grass Knots. That's what I got to work out for. I'll take it again. Cycle Cut's not going to do damage. Barely does any damage, so there's no reason. Okay, so they throw off. They bring in the Cresselia. 1 Hydro Cannon is enough to take this out. We get another shield, so we're in a really good spot here. None of my opponent's charge moves is a threat to our health, and after throwing this, they're at 0 energy, and it takes 6 to get to Grass Knot, and I'm going to charge a little bit more and throw this Hydro Cannon. Remember, my opponent had thrown a bunch of energy on my Swampert, and we're able to beat him to the charge move and take it down. GG, and we're up against Crazy One Arms. Lapras. This is a really tough lead. So I really don't have a strategy for Lapras in the lead, so I'm going to try to soften it up with, not good. Try to soften it up with, oh god, with Hydro Cannons, and we're a little bit ahead on energy with this Giratina. So we're going straight Moonblast. It does super effective damage. Like I said, my Cresselia in this matchup does really well because the IVs are good, and if they bait with Dragon Claw, I get put in a good spot. So if they go Dragon Claw here, I pretty much win in the shield, 0 shield. They should go for Shadow Sink, so they do. If they did, like I said, my IVs on this Cresselia are so good, and they matter a lot. They could flip matchups. So they bring in Swampert, which is perfect. Now my Articuno is going to get locked in with this Swampert, and if I didn't win switch advantage, so this is a good point. This is a good spot to win switch advantage with that Lapras. I didn't want my Swampert lined up against Lapras. And Check out how much damage a earthquake does. Insane amount of damage. So does my opponent want to shield this up, or do they want to save it for their Swampert? So the earthquake takes out. Sorry, I'm getting nervous watching this. So we're gonna get the last shield for sure, but I'm stuck in here and they're gonna be able to farm me down. Oh, that's really unfortunate. Yeah, that opening matchup is really tough, and they're gonna have enough energy to take out my Articuno, and GG's. And now we're up against Ollie Burrows. Togekiss again. We're going to be able to get one shot in and switch into Cresselia. And go straight for the Future Sight. No reason to go Moonblast. I just want damage. And they're literally one charge move away from each other. And on the second time around, they get there at the same time. So I go for the Moonblast here. I'm not sure why. Maybe I expected them to shield. Excuse me. We get off the next Moonblast here. And they do shield, and they're going to go ahead and farm me down. And then I think at this point I go for the farm down with Swampert. He has enough for 2, I believe. So I let this go through. I can't afford to go down another shield. Awesome, now we're loaded. We're loaded with energy. Togekiss, I do this just to grab a shield. And now we're going to have room for Articuno to play. So in this situation, all shields are down, and then we're going to go straight for the Hurricane. Check how much damage this does. So I'm going to farm up a little more, so I have energy to throw on opposing Togekiss. And we're going to be able to farm this down with a little extra. And I'm not sure if that shield was necessary there, but I wanted to ensure that I get an Icy Wind off the Togekiss. Now the Togekiss is in a horrible spot. There's pretty much nothing you can do here, and that's a GG. I switched out there because I didn't want Togekiss to potentially farm me down and get a charge move off on Swampert. And is this the last game? So yeah, that is it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I made it to 2665. And if you guys like what you're seeing or you want to be featured on the channel, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.